What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Goon Platoon with your hosts, Justin and John. We are here. We are a little bit cold during these
You
months.
are.
Justin.
I'm hot.
Justin's shower almost killed him.
Oh man.
We're back, you guys. Hope you guys have been doing well and had good holidays and everything. I mean, the time's going so fast, man. It's almost February. If you guys haven't noticed, we have a product and we're starting to push our products on Amazon as well. So if you can't get to the website for some reason, or you just you're browsing through Amazon, make sure to check us out as well. We are on there. We are live. So other than that, man, Justin, what's been going on? I saw a recent post from a newer client who is competing at the Arnold Pro, who is a Mr. Olympia that you are coaching, Brandon Curry, and he is getting some serious hype online right now. So
yeah, that's awesome.
We can talk about all of it, but
yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, this is why I'm a coach, not a businessman. I mean, as I own businesses, but this is where I'm just not good at, like, the self promotion. But yeah, no, we talked, leading up to the Arnold. He wanted to sign me last year, but I think I don't know why I think he went. Did he go to Dubai again last year? I don't remember, but
I'm not sure.
But anyways, he's got kids. His son's a really good football player. He's already got 2 offers as a freshman. He just wanted to stay back, and
Wow.
he knew me because when he was coming up, when he turned pro, was right as I was leaving. So he was kind of that age that knew me kind of before I went to grad school my first time through the whole industry. Yeah, and he's like, I could handle 200 clients if they were all like him. It's the same story every time. He's it's an easy client, listens, doesn't complain. And then, of course, people are going to want to know the gear and everything. And it's the exact same as everyone else. Same boring old shit.
I don't know how many times you have to tell someone. It's like you have to explain to people, hey, man, like, there's no magic pill, right? Literally, everyone's same stuff. Now you may have a higher quality, hopefully, but everyone's taking the same stuff. I mean, you can go on forums and read maximum dosages, low dosages, this and that, but it's all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. No one is holding back for any reason. We're all trying to achieve the same thing. And that's it's in any sport, And so if swimming and this stuff is what worked, that's what we'd be doing, And it's not, what's really funny about it all is what people laugh at is they think you're lying as low doses. 30 years ago, they would have laughed the other way as outrageously high doses. I mean, when you look at it as their original use case, which would be 0.6 mLs of testosterone a week, we're all like, we are using outrageous doses. It's just that I don't know what people think, but yeah, I wish there was. I think that with anything in life, everything's the same. And I always kind of say, I've always wanted to try to word something, and I've never been able to, but that, like, how hard is something? Oh, he achieved that. Was that hard? How? And the truth is, everything's, in reality, if you're going to be as good as you can be at something, everything is equally as hard. And that difficulty is you just give everything you have. That's all it is. There's, whether, some sports might be harder because there's more competitors in it or better athletes, or at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. For you to be the best at whatever you're trying to get good at, it's the exact same hard every single time. It's just give everything you can, work as hard as you can. That's all there is.
Yeah. And it's just, I think with the amount of information that's out there now, it's becoming less and less where it's like, what's the secret? I mean, at least I hope that people are realizing, like, dude, how many people does it take to be open about stuff where it's like you realize, hey, man, half this game is just genetics. The unfortunate thing is, and I always tell people this, bodybuilding and lifting weights and the sports related to it give people this false notion that we're all on the same level playing field, because we can all get a gym pass, we can all take testosterone, we can all eat protein. However, there still is a genetic component. Now, if it's like with basketball, hey, I'm not 6'7", I know I'm not going to the league. right? Or
Hmm.
football, in high school, I was 150 pounds. I know I wasn't built for it. Now, that being said, with bodybuilding, we all sort of start. No one was born a bodybuilder. You know, some guys have better genetics, but and so they get this notion that we're all in the same level playing field, but we're not. Guys like Brandon, hey, they just have those better genetics, and it is what it is.
And this is the perfect thing, that no one is choosing to use a lower dose because it gives them less effect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that they're everyone's using what they believe maximizes their progress. That's
Yep.
and you know, like we can say this a million times. The only reason I care is I don't want people to get caught in that quagmire that can take a decade of trying different cycles, trying different compounds. Because what ends up happens, and we've talked about this before, is you know, you don't do anything, and someone gives you your first bottle of testosterone, and so you do like 1 cc a week, and you know you're so excited, you think you're going to get huge, you know, and then when it doesn't happen, you think, well, it must be because I didn't take enough. And so
Mm-hmm.
then you try 2 cc's, and when that doesn't work, then it's like, well, you know, it's because the big guys are using D-ball. That, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
you get in this cycle of you trying new compounds, new doses, then it's GH, then it's insulin. And the truth is, like, the truth is the truth. And the only reason I care about this is because I just know so many people spend 8 to 10 years going through that process of trying every cycle, trying every product, and then finally realizing, oh shit, it's there is no secret. It's just, you know, like, it's not baby doses, but you use what you can as much as you can without having side effects, and that is what it is. That's the only reason I care, is I just don't want people to waste a decade going through that process, you know. And people are still going to, and I, even with clients, I encourage them. I say, try everything, you know, like, I'm telling you what works. You don't have, if you don't believe it, I totally understand it, and let's get you through that belief process as quick as possible. What do you think the secret is? You think it's trend? You think, let's do it. You need the quicker you can learn that there is no magic formula or a secret or anything, the
Mm-hmm.
quicker we can get to actually making progress. And that's really the only reason I care. I don't care if you want to do 50 grams of test a week. I don't care. Just get through it.
You'd be a twirly dude.
Yeah, but just get through it and get through that process so you can actually make progress. Because so
Mm-hmm.
many people never get through it. Because you can spend a decade walking through that. You know, you can spend a
Mm-hmm.
decade of, I haven't tried this compound. It must be this compound. I haven't tried GH. I haven't used
Mm-hmm.
insulin. It must be a different kind of insulin. And, you know, and I just cannot stress enough that nobody is looking at their medicine cabinet and saying, like, if I took more of those, I would be way better and bigger, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to. I'm going to risk my health. I'm going to train every day. I'm going to eat chicken and rice. I'm going to devote my life to this, but I'm not going to be as good as I could be for no other reason other than I'm just not going to use as much. I mean, no one is thinking that. Everyone is doing
Mm-hmm.
what they can to make progress.
Sebastian came in with a question. I'm gonna throw my two pieces in, and or my little 2 cents in, then I'll throw your 2 cents in. And he's talking about how to titrate up with GH to avoid sides. Well, it just depends, right? It depends on, you know, where you're at with your amount of water weight and retention. If are you like off season pushing and you're bloated, are you lean as hell, you know? And it's one of those things where, for me, I've noticed if I hold a little bit of water, so if I'm lean, I can push a little bit more. If I'm off season, I think the most I go is 5 IUs before I start to feel you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't close your hands, you know. So and at the end of the day, it's like, dude, just do what works. Like,
And that's
I
another
can joke
genetic
about
thing,
this.
because I've never had numb hands. I've never had those side effects.
You never had it.
Never. No, never,
It's
ever.
terrible. It's
I
terrible. I thought
know.
it was a joke.
So, well, people tell me, and I'm always like, man, you know, like, yeah, you know, like when you try to convince yourself you feel something. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Oh,
maybe.
I think I felt that.
And because I remember when I was really into guitar years ago, when I first did it, I was worried, like, oh, it's gonna, you know, like, am I not gonna play guitar? And I was like then I was sure my stuff was fake, you know, but other people using it, was like, oh my god, dude, I didn't sleep at all last night. And I'm like,
Mhm,
yeah, but
mhm,
that's just another genetic thing. Here's this is a follow up. Yeah, I mean, these are choice words like heavy insulin. Like, I
mhm.
need a dose amount, because heavy is relative. But yeah, 2 to 3 grams. That's pretty much, that's that is. I mean, that's what people. It's what most people end up somewhere in that 2 to 3 gram range at their peak.
Mhm.
That's not saying day one you should do that, but it's saying that I've I don't know that I've ever seen someone use above 3 grams and grow faster than using 2 to 3 grams. And then
Yeah.
there is a buildup into that until that, most people using 2 grams, assuming they're able to do that with minimal side effects, they're going to grow faster than 1 gram. There's just more protein synthesis. But you're always dealing with the dose curve and the side effect curve, and they start crossing for
Mhm.
most people somewhere in that range. But that is another one that's a genetic thing, because same thing with gear. When people would talk about like trend and gear, I would never by feel ever be able to tell what I'm on ever. Never.
No.
Yeah, people like talk
Oh,
about try and make some mad, or I never. Like
no.
you could just put some yellow food coloring, and then other than maybe like the hardness I might notice if I'm dieting, I would never have noticed. And with
It,
anything,
I
which is
think
another
Halo.
genetic component. Like some people do 500 milligrams of test and get tits within 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I've never had to use an AI in my life.
I think the only thing I've ever felt ever was the first time I took Halo, like 2 weeks before a show. I think I took 10 milligrams and I walked in the gym and I was like angry that people were in the gym. And I was like, why the
Yeah.
hell are people in this gym right now? I should be trained. And like it lasted for maybe an hour. So once the workout was over, I felt fine. But that was probably the only time I ever felt something, you know.
We got
But
another one here. I'll answer this, but this is the thing. That's not a correct question, because it
Mhm.
doesn't take. I can tell you what pretty much most of the pros end up at, but you have to remember, and we've done this before, the Cleveland Clinic says that 3 million US adults use PEDs every year. That's from whatever epidemiological studies they did, they come up with the number 3 million. There's 55 million adult men between the ages of 18 and 55. So like 95% of users are adult men. 3-year-old girls aren't using gear. So if you round that to 60, you get 3 in 60, basically adult men, or 1 in 20 adult men are on PEDs. One out
Mhm.
of every 20. Go to work. You see 20 guys, one of those guys are on PED. So I don't even know that 1 in 20 adult men go to the gym regularly. So essentially, everyone at the gym that's serious has probably tried or is thinking about trying them. So
Mhm.
it's not like you take it and that's how you become a pro, because
Mhm.
everyone at the gym is already doing it. It's the other things that's one of the components. That's one of the prerequisites, but everyone else is already doing it at the gym. It's the gear, the training, the eating is the big one. The eating is the one that people always fail on, and then genetics. But it's just simple. And I hate even saying this because I don't want to recommend anything and I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. But I can tell you that I don't know that I've ever really seen anyone progress faster above 3 grams of gear per week. I've seen
Mhm.
lots of people try. Side effects just seem to pile up much more rapidly than any potential progress happens. And it's rare that I see someone reach their absolute peak with less than 2 grams of total gear per week. Rare. And then, but the top pros are almost always on the low end. The biggest doses are always the amateurs trying to overcome their genetic deficiencies. And you can understand, I loved baseball as a kid. That was my first sport love. I wasn't a power hitter. Even as a big guy, I'm not a power hitter. I got short fingers, fat fingers. I was a pitcher, and I really took care in working on, multiple pitches. I had, a slider, a changeup. I had like a one knuckle change. I had a cut fastball. I really, really worked on it. I used to have scuff balls. I mean, but I just didn't throw fast. And so that's the difference. If gear made you that much more dramatic of a better of a baseball player, I would be the guy doing 3 grams to maybe make the minors, where the guys playing in the all stars would maybe dabble in it. That's the reality of it.
And I'm going to say something that's going to piss some people off, and it's going to make people a little upset. And you can take this however you want, but this is realistic. When 15 years ago, when it was just bodybuilding, and they might have had 212, like or the 202, whatever,
202, yeah.
there was a limited amount of pro cards. It was you had a more realistic outlook on when to get a pro card, how long it's going to take and how much work it's going to take. So you developed your diet better. You learned how to train for yourself better. And it took time, right? You learned the sport, you learned your body. Now, unfortunately, at every gym, you have 3 classic guys who get a pro card who look natty, right? And they're on a bunch of gear. And guess what? I don't care if you have a pro card. This is me ranting for a second. There can be 30 classic pros and men's physique pros. None of them deserve to have their pro card. They don't deserve to have their pro card. Yeah, you can get a pro card. What do you do on a pro stage? So even though they're a pro, their physiques ain't nothing. So at the end of the day, you guys have to remember, like, hey, think about it this way. Let me learn my body. Let me learn what works. Training, diet, it takes a while. Get it out of your mindset where it's like, I got to take a certain amount of drugs, then I'm going to turn pro. No, and even if you turn pro, you might be a crappy pro and never do anything. So like, that's just me venting because I see too many people online being like, okay, they don't even do their first show and they're talking about turning pro and all they have to do is take a certain amount of gear to turn pro. And I'm like, oh my God, even if you get a pro card, you'll probably be garbage and never do anything. So that's just me venting. But, you know, guys, take a step back and just learn your diet, learn how to train, learn what works for you so that you stay healthy and you can live a life after bodybuilding and you're not focused on just the moment in the now. Like, hey, dude, there is a life after bodybuilding. None of us can do this our whole lives. So just be smart with it. Like Justin said, there's a certain amount that can work and work well, but there's no recommendations where it's like, yeah, you have to do this certain amount and things like that. That's just me venting. I had to put it out there.
I want to answer this too. I don't want this to turn into a PD podcast because it's so stupid. There's like 50 compounds that were ever invented. It's not. There's no mystery. It's not like this big deep quagmire of things to sift through. There's androgenic type stuff. There's more anabolic stuff. There's orals, injectables, GH, and there's not much stuff. The thing with the 90s is it wasn't as readily available as it is now at all. So doses were lower. It was very difficult to get things. You had to know a guy in like Romania. I mean, it wasn't like it is now. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. So doses were lower just because it was harder. But also in that age, for whatever reason, because it was still close enough to that 1991 thing when they really cracked down on everything and it was a big deal and the the IFBB tried to go natural and so and the Weeders had more control and they really tried to hush it. And so but doses were lower, but like I just don't get it. Like what if it was max? Then use 15 grams or use 12 grams and be better than everyone in the 90s. I don't know what to tell you. It's like there's no I don't know what the end game is with this.
You know what it is. People want the answer. They want the be all end all. This is it. Follow this to a T, and you'll be a pro. And that's not real life. It's not how this works. So, yeah, Justin took away all my carbs.
He is grumpy.
I've got a spoonful of veggies every meal.
This is the truth. Everything has to be involved. You can't just take gear and become a pro. You can't just eat chicken and rice and become a pro. You can't just train hard and become a pro. You have to do all of those things and have the genetics to do it. That's what I was trying to say in the beginning. That's true for anything. Nothing's harder or easier. Like I'm going to kind of go against John here a little bit. The quality is lower. The quality is less, especially in newer divisions. But the thing is this, no matter what you do, you want to be the best guitarist ever. You want to be a piano player. You want to be an artist. You want to be the best video game player. Every single thing, there's nothing's easier or harder. Everything is equally as hard. If you want to be the best you can be, you have to give everything you have to it. That's it. You want to be a business owner. You have to wake up thinking about it, spend the day thinking about it, go to sleep if you sleep, but if you do sleep, go to sleep thinking about it. And that's everything is the same. You want to be a tennis player, you want to be a golfer. Every 30 for 30 or any of they all have the same story. Like, hey, we couldn't get him off the golf course. I'd give him $5. He'd leave in the morning. He'd come back. And, there's a story like Fred Couples stopped wearing a glove when he golfed. The story is always different. But one of the versions of the story was his dad you got $5 a day, and if he bought a glove once a week, that was one round of golf he couldn't play or whatever. So, it's like, but that's it. They all have the same story. you get obsessed with something, you wake, every minute of your life is spent thinking about it. And if you have the genetics and you put everything together, that's just what it is. And then you let time pass. It's just what it is. Everything's equally as hard. You give everything you have, and then you'll be as good as you can possibly be at it. And if genetically that level is high enough to be whatever level you wish to be at, that's it. That's all it is. That's everything's the same.
That's 100% true, because I'll wake up at 3 in the morning because I just pee 7 times a night now. And I'll have 3 messages from Justin about the website design that we just changed yesterday. It's like, and then he'll get random messages from me about opposing this or this and that, or update photos throughout the week. And so it's like, we're constantly just thinking about this, trying to, so.
And that's really the biggest thing. Like lots of people want to be a pro, or you just have to just do the work. And it's like I've got chicken and rice waiting for me right now. I'm 15 years past competing. It's that's what it is. Or I've been really into golf lately, and tonight I'm pumped because it's Friday night. Everyone else is going to go party, and that means I get to stay up late golfing on my simulator. You just get find any guitarist, if you're on guitar Instagram at all. What do you think those guys do? No, every video is them on the edge of their bed doing what? Playing the guitar. Eddie Van Halen's got a story like, his brother used to party and stuff, and he'd be playing the guitar, and his buddy'd be like, "I'm going to go out," and Eddie'd be like, "Well, I'll meet you in a minute. I'll meet you in a little bit." His buddy come home at 3:30 in the morning, and Eddie hadn't moved. And that's just what it is. And gear is absolutely a component of it, but there's no gram amount you can take to turn pro. There's a gram amount that a limit before you start getting too many side effects, and most people are around that limit. But if you're doing that and you're not eating chicken and rice every meal, or meat and rice every meal, good luck. If you're not training hard, and everyone likes to think they train hard, but most people don't. And people really don't get the eating, though. They just don't understand. And I hate using Nick Walker because I use him as an example for everything, it seems, but it always just cracks me up because there was a video they put online of his birthday, and he's in the off season, middle of the off season, no show. And they have a birthday party for him at a restaurant. And what does he do in the off season? I know guys in prep that will eat. Yeah, he brought his food in the off season on his birthday to a restaurant. And that's the difference, because everyone's on the gear. That's not the difference. Everyone's doing that.
George actually has a good question. And this, Justin, we talked about this. Remember you said this almost possibly could have contributed to some other issues down the road. So
yeah, I get too obsessed. That's my, I don't know if it's like my kids joke that I have some tism. They think I'm on the spectrum. You just kind of get I get too hyper focused, and I would just kind of work out red meat is probably the closest in amino acid profile to human meat. The rate limiting amino acid is still very high. And so basically I decided that lean red meat and rice is probably the best off-season meal. And so, yeah, in 2007, that's really all I ate. Flank steak, sometimes round steak, bottom round, top round. But I think the lack of, and all I did was eat rice, except for oatmeal a lot for breakfast. But I think that can probably, or likely, maybe, I don't know, contributed to my celiac. I had such a low variety of food for such a long period of time that I think introducing wheat again, my body didn't know how to handle it. And then it's not outrageous to think that, because if 70% of the world is lactose intolerant. Mm-hmm. And the reason most Americans aren't is because we never stop drinking milk. Most of the world they don't really drink milk regularly. So it's not so yeah, it's, I wish if I could go back, I would have more variety, but that's my own mental issues of I get too hyper focused on something, and I decide that this is the best, therefore there's no other, anything else is the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's well, dude, hold on, I do have a random question for you talking about variety of food.
Mm-hmm.
Before Casey has a good question before we put it out there. Number one, if you had to have a cheat meal, what is your go-to? If you were starving, you're like,
oh, I spent so long. Mine's always sushi or Thai.
Sushi or Thai. I hate when people say In-N-Out and stuff. I think that's trash.
So I would do that once in a while, but no, even that. I'm Sometimes something about me I wish I could change even, because there's a peanut curry at a Thai place, Bangkok flavor, one of those hole in the wall places where they don't even speak English,
The
and
one
it's
that we went to by your
yeah,
house.
yeah, probably got peanut curry. It's just so good. Every time it's a cheat meal, I'm like, man, there might
Mhm.
be something else out there that's better, but this is
But
so it's so good, and I know it's going to be good, and every time it's good. And so same
mhm,
with sushi. It's like, I'm
yeah, you
sure
can't
there's
go
other
wrong
stuff
with
that's
sushi.
yeah. It's just when especially if you have a good place. It's like
Yeah.
I'm easy, you know. It's maybe that's why I've been married so long. It's like I don't wonder what else is out there. I got something
Yeah,
that's
you're
good.
set, dude. You're locked in.
This is fine. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, Casey, I think what Casey is asked is sort of what you already touched on with
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, I have celiac, and for a while towards the end of my uh, partly why I left bodybuilding is I started out, I would call them leg fevers. After a hard leg workout, I'd get a fever. And then it was after every leg workout. Then it was leg and back workouts. And eventually I just always had a low grade fever. And this was towards the tail end when I was leaving the sport. It turned, and I spent way too long trying to figure it out. My wife finally figured it out. No doctors did. But I think what it was I just never ate wheat ever for years, other than like after a show, and I'd get super sick after contest. But I think at some point along the way, I developed celiac without realizing it. Because of bodybuilding, I very rarely ran into wheat because it wasn't part of my diet. When I left the sport and started eating like a normal person, I just got really sick, and then eventually, yeah, I don't know that it was, I don't think it was red meat. I think it was, if it was related to my diet at all, it's just as likely that it has zero relation because we have autoimmune stuff in my family, and you know my grandmother was celiac, so it's very possible nothing I did. But if it was something related to what I did, I think the lack of variety may have contributed to it.
mm,
Yeah, man, he's getting like. This is why I wish I was. I'm so busy. I haven't even been able to share any
you're
of those
pretty
posts. But yeah, yeah, I'm glad people think that, you know, because I'm happy with his look at this point. We're just starting to crank things up with the diet. He's been like, God, he's such a good client. Like he doesn't. It's like it always is. You know, you send him the food, he just does it. You know, like no complaints, no ask for special treatment, no nothing. You know, like if you somehow could like I could not know that he was Mr. Olympia, I would have no idea he was even a pro bodybuilder. He's, you know, just thankful for the changes, happy with the progress, you know, and like he'll do whatever. I mean, like I could tell him, you know, like, hey, we're just not going to eat this week. And he'd be like, all right, boss, see you next week, you know. And then I'd get a call from the hospital when he died. But, you know, like he just does the work. And that's the real thing. Like he just does the work. And that's the big difference that other than genetics is. And where was George was another one. This is another guy. I wish people saw him more because this is another guy that just does the work. I can't remember what George weighed 2 years ago, but he's got to be over 100 pounds bigger. I mean, he's a legit mass monster now. And he's one of those guys you'd almost forget he's your client because he's so easy, doesn't complain. Whatever I tell him to do, he just does it. His check-in is like this long, you know, any deviations, none. It's every time. He tells me his weights that he lifts, you know, and then I have to be like, I think you should put a typo in here because no one's shoulder pressing 370 for 8. And he's like, no, I did. And
George deadlifts like fucking 750 every week.
oh my God, he's just, but he puts the work in. And this is the perfect example of, you know, like I used to use a saying all the time. It's like making a diamond. You know, every diamond starts as a lump of coal. And what happens is there's a lot of pressure inside the earth. And if you apply enough pressure and let enough time pass, coal becomes diamond. And that's really what, and that's the big thing with the gear that I want people to understand is you could try every cycle, get it out of your system, convince yourself whatever you need to be convinced of. But while you're doing that, make sure you're applying pressure so that when that time passes, good things have happened, that you've turned into a diamond. You know,
Mhm.
like guys like George, I don't ever have to worry about him missing a meal because I know like if he's supposed to eat every 2.5 hours and it gets to 2 hours and he's stuck in traffic, I can picture him panicking that he didn't bring a meal in the car. You know, where other people will be like, I'll just stop by Wendy's or, you know, like that's the difference is, you know, like you just pile up wins. You know, you get 6 wins a day, 6 meals, 7 wins if you count your workout, 8 if you count cardio, and you get 365 days a year. and you just pile them up, boom, 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 and eventually, if enough time passes, if you applied enough pressure, you're a diamond.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Oh, hey, what's up? I thought I was like staring at that physique. I was like, God, I know that physique. Yeah,
We had
another good client.
We had a question really quick. XRP.
Yeah.
I know everyone's been trying to hop on that train the last couple of days. It seems like every week there's something new.
The crypto. Here's my thoughts on crypto. My issues with crypto. I love investing, but I love price modeling. I like taking a business, modeling, what you expect the revenue growth to be, what their profit margins are, what they might be, what technological advances might change to their price margins, what the CEOs like, and building out base cases, bear cases, and bull cases. It's very time consuming. And so if you do that, you can only really do that for a couple of stocks, because those take hours and hours and hours. You can't do that with crypto because it's not a widget. XRP doesn't produce anything. I can't say they're going to make a better electric vehicle or a better version of an iPhone. And so my overall thoughts on crypto are, if I picture me talking to my great grandson, he's going to say, wait a minute, you guys used to pay people and build machines to dig in the ground to find gold, and then you'd ship it to the other side of the world, bury it back in the ground, and then you pay guards to hide it or to guard it. And that was your store of value. I can understand why they would think like, well, here's a thing, here's a non-fungible item. There's a blockchain. It's there forever. So I'm not a blockchain expert, but basically what my understanding of it is basically you have these boxes that are connected, and in the box can hold some values, and then that block can talk to the block before it and the block after, but that's about as far as you can connect things. And so it's a very secure system. I think even with quantum computing, cracking like the Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum is going to be extremely difficult. So it's very secure. It's very non-traceable. And I can imagine, and you can use it for anything. I can imagine my great grandkids' birth certificate being on a blockchain with their social security number, where it's there permanently. It's unable to be changed. So that utility, I completely understand. And I think the problem with like a Bitcoin is you almost need some ability to inflate. And why that doesn't really make sense at first glance. It's like, well, imagine if however much money had been printed in 1800 was all that was printed now, with all the new people and all that, because you're always creating new wealth. And what does that mean? Like we're more efficient at things. You like I used to be an engineer. As an engineer, you used to have a secretary. When you used to type out reports, you'd have to draw graphs by hand. Now computers do all that. AI does that. Scripting languages do that. Like you can go in Python and you can write a script that reads your work and outputs a graph like that. Where you used to have to give the information to a secretary. They do it by hand. So we just keep getting more efficient, and that is what generates wealth. And you almost need the money supply to be able to scale with that a little bit. Otherwise, it seems too likely that wealth concentrates too strongly in certain areas. It does no matter what, because some people are just hyper productive and hyper good at collecting wealth. But so other than that, with crypto, I don't get it. Like like XRP. If everyone's talking about it, I'm out, because if everyone's talking about it, that means the ones who have the money in it are waiting for it to peak so that they can collect their profits. And almost always by the time everyone's talking about it, it's too late, because you need to be the one who discovers it. Like
they're sort of waiting. They're trying to see if they can ride that next Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like waiting for that.
And you needed to understand it. You have to do your own valuation, because if you're going off other people's ideas, then the play's already essentially over. Like not necessarily, because something like Apple has grown forever. But for the most part, you need to evaluate a company the way I view investing, other than just passive investing in ETFs. I view it as like Tesla. I've been really big in Tesla since like 2020. And so my price average is like 160. But I haven't bought Tesla in over a year and a half, and it's because it goes like this. But when I first was buying it was before the first run up, before uh, two splits ago, so it was where people, like you have to basically analyze and say, like, these numbers to me indicate that it's going to be a profitable company. I think the zeitgeist is that long term we're shifting to electric vehicles. I think there's technology in the AI that is going to be extremely useful, and I'm going to put money on it now, knowing that it could go to zero or it could go sky high. But you can't. It's hard to do that with crypto because it's really dependent on where. It's like if you ever watch like birds fly and they flock and they kind of swarm together. You're trying to, you're the last bird. By the time you swing left, that first bird's already swinging right, way up ahead, and so you're always trailing. And I just don't understand crypto beyond that, so I don't want to speak on it much.
So what's up, Dom? What's going on, man? I did get a question this week, and this is a Troponin supplements, obviously our brand related question. They were wondering about when we are releasing our protein, like our ISO whey and things like that.
So here's the problem. We are in an extremely scary and exciting time. We've been filming with Generation Iron since the day like we bought out my partner, like since August, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so I have formulations for several new products. One, it's expensive to bring out a new product, and we're trying to fuel growth of our current products. And two, we have no idea what the Generation Iron is going to do. If we're on Amazon Prime or Netflix and it hits, we have as much as a 12-week lead time on production. We aren't like a top dog for manufacturing. We're fighting to get our stuff manufactured. We're not a high priority. So we need to stock up ahead on our current products, which is we're growing fast, which is great, but we've been out of QRF. We're already having trouble keeping our product in stock as is, but we're trying to really build stock. And since we don't have investors, we do that entirely either with personal money or profits. We are 100% self-funded. And so we're trying to do that and prepare, because like the worst thing that can happen to us as a company is the movie comes out. I'm not really supposed to talk. Maybe I won't. I'm not supposed to talk about too much. But kind of the worst thing that can happen is that it explodes, and we sell out of everything, and then it's 8 weeks minimum before we have any. We're out of. So for 2 months we have nothing on the website, and we're done as a company then. And so it's a tough thing to manage. But yeah, we have several. We have a protein, like a whole food protein. It won't be like a whey isolate. It'll be like a true meal replacement protein, a combination proteins that's slower digesting, similar to whole food. We have a non-stim pre-workout. We have a nootropic. We have an electrolyte. We were trying to get out for the Arnold that I don't think we'll have by time of the Arnold. But we've got a ton of stuff. I mean, I got like formulations. There's other compounds that people I don't think know about that I would like to get into a product before other companies discover it. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I guess if you guys want a protein, buy our other products. The more profits we have, the more likely we'll be able to actually, get stocked up enough to. Because producing a new protein powder, you got to understand, like, we'll be out like $100,000 before we make a penny, and that's our money. It's not like I got some rich dude somewhere that lets me pose for him, because that's our $100,000. And like we do okay, but I'm not swimming in money like that. So it's a big step to do each new product.
And I'm just so thankful that the team is clicking well. It's hard, man. It's hard doing business. What's that?
Oh, I'm saying, yeah, that's the thing I'm most excited about. We got a great team right now. Like John and Skylar, our photographer, pumping out great content. Our website, we just did some updates last night or 2 nights ago to Troponin Nutrition and Troponin Supplements. We got more coming that we're waiting for a few new videos. And so now we're going to start working on some personality type videos. So, because you got to understand, like the process of like getting photographs is hard, getting video is hard, you know, getting athletes in photos and videos and clothing is hard because you got to get the clothing to athlete, you got to get the photos, they got to fit, you got to do the graphics, and so we needed to get the website built to where it looked like a really professional website, which we're more or less at now. We needed to get enough content to be able to pump out ads and graphics without reusing the same photos again. Because when it was only, we still have several photos that are only digitally rendered on the website. We still don't have, you know, like left and right photos of QRF and Go Pills. Those are still digital renderings that I did. So we're still like so new in that regard, but we're starting to work on like some personality videos so people understand, okay, you know, like, because you don't want to be a company where anytime someone sees you on the internet, we're just trying to sell you something. You know, we can't exist otherwise, but we want you to understand our culture and that we're just two meatheads, you know, that love working out and, you know, telling fart jokes. I don't know. We're just like, and, you know, we want, so the people who appreciate that and understand that, you know, like, we're in this with you guys. We're not some multi-corporate conglomerate. You know, we're guys that we're making products that we use. Like someone on one of the posts recently on Instagram said like, oh, well, you guys are selling lies. You know, you use gear and then you're selling supplements. And I'm like, no, that like, if you notice what supplements we sell, you could tell we're not lying, because who benefits from an intra workout more than someone on PEDs? You know, who can make better use of EAAs during a workout than someone on PEDs? Who needs a really quality berberine or GDA more than someone on GH? Who needs liver and kidney protection more than people on PED? So if you look at our products, like, we're not lying. We're making products for us.
Yeah, no, we consume them. And what I was going with that, big shout out Jay, CJ in the comments. Where I was going with that was, you know, sometimes it's hard when you have a team and you guys are close. You know, it can working with your friends can go one of two ways. It can either go south and destroy relationships, or it can be a positive if you guys work together well and understand each other. And thankfully, you know, things are working really well. And I saw recently, which is none of anyone's business, but they put it out there. James Hollingshead and Jordan Peters are no longer working together.
Do we know the story on that?
I don't know the story. I know some people have covered it. It was just sort of random because James was working out. They created a gym in England called The Shed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's supposed to be James Hollingshead and Jordan Peters' collection of their clothing, their supplements, training, everything in one spot. And it was going well. He was posting even last week, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I think it was Tuesday or something, you know, Hollingshead posted, you know, Jordan and I will no longer be working together. I won't be working at his gym, off to the Arnold, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it looks like they're handling it professionally. It looks like something did happen. But you never know, right? Like, it's hard. You don't want to take a side because you don't know. It's none of our business. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, business, it's tough. It's tough.
It's so hard. And I can see it from both perspectives too. Cause like, I love JP. I just love watching him train. He's one of the few guys, if I need to get fired up for a workout, I put on one of his deadlifts or bent over row videos every time. Yeah. But you can understand. I mean, like, there was a lot of work and sacrifice that went into that. Like, he sacrificed his career to some extent to build those companies, you know? And like that's the thing, like with his Trained by JP originally, like, that was probably the only thing. He woke up thinking about that, spent the day thinking about it, and went to bed thinking about it, you know? And then the same thing that's just, it's like a stressful situation. And the weird thing about business is the way money comes in and out is it's just so different than, like, because you have a job, you just get a salary and it's that, you know. With a business, it's like the money swings are so outrageous where, like, you can have like money in the bank account where you think like, oh my God, I've never seen this. And then the next day be negative, you know, like if especially in supplements, you know, like, you have all this money and then you got, especially the size they're probably doing $250,000 manufacturing runs, like on corporate card. Like, we're not even getting asked about it, you know? And so like, it's and the accounting gets difficult. And then do you trust the person doing your accounting, you know? And then the other weird thing is we've still never taken a penny from the supplement company, you know. This is year 3 and it's still deep in the red on it, and so you bank your whole life on it, more or less. Like people think owning a business, it's like, yeah, it's so risky. It's like, well, you don't just risk it that first time. It's a never ending sea of each new step is like, we're throwing it all on the table again for this next increase,
Yeah.
and what's the end result of every single time always is at some point the business does fail. It might be 100 years, like if you got something like a Sears or something, but eventually, like it's called an S curve. There's like you struggle and then it grows. Where am I at? It struggles and it grows. And so it kind of looks like an S, and then it flattens out. And so, but that growth phase is the hardest, I think, for relationships, because like you're both going to disagree on the best path forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever path you choose, if it succeeds, the person that was like, yeah, see, my idea was right. It's hard not to be, like the other person's hard not to be resentful. If your choice fails, the other person's like, dude, we went with your goal. Now we're belly up. I got no, now we're bankrupt, And so it's stressful.
Yeah. I mean, and we've talked about it before where it's one of those things, if you have, this is business, this is not personal. So a good way to make it work is like, you may have disagreements, but I don't disagree with you as a person. Like, it's just my thought towards the business. It's not personal. I'm not taking a dig at you because I disagree with how you want to do this quarter or whatnot. No, it's just, keep it business and things like that. And
that's the hardest thing, because so few people do it. Everyone says business is business, but people don't. I think, like, for me personally, being on the internet through the early stages and having like some, like enough people know me where anytime I post something, there's at least a couple of people bashing me and telling me I'm the biggest loser on earth. You learn to not take things personally, I think. So that was like, I was showing my wife, one of my favorites. We were in the gym this morning. We were both working out at the same time. And I love reading some of the comments to her. Like one of the comments on a post is like, what a useless, pathetic waste of life. This is what you devoted your whole life on, and it's all for nothing.
They said that to you?
Oh yeah, every comment. Some of them are so like. I think I'm lucky in that I didn't grow up with the internet, so to me the internet is still not real. I don't think it never will be. I think my kids' generation it is, because that's what they grew up with.
That's what they know.
So I grew up I grew up with the internet enough to understand it and use it, but my adolescence was without it. So to me, it's still like, I still remember that's what you did on the internet. You went on the internet to shitpost and troll,
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So I can still view it that way. But man, some of I should save, if I had the time, I should save truly and make like one of those like to the Enya song. Who can say where you're and just have all the terrible comments. You fucking loser. I hope your family happy enough at your death that they don't cry at your funeral.
My YouTube keeps getting hit, man. Every time I put out a video, people said I had synthol shoulders, and then it's just ridiculous, man. I was like, what is going on? I don't even know. Like, would people ever inject synthol in your shoulders? I guess they would if they were.
Yeah, but I mean,
people say some crazy shit online.
There's way better muscles to do it in, I guess.
I don't know, like arms or something.
But. Yeah, I mean, part of it. And to anyone reading, I encourage like a good troll. Some of them are good, and it's like, that's pretty damn.
That's funny. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, but and they're funny when they're just so mean, like or what was another one? If you're just nice back, like someone said something about like what a waste of space. When you're not going to live to an old age, but if you ever did, you would have to look back and realize, I wasted my entire life, and so I always reply like, thanks for the kind words, Steve. And then they get so mad.
It's so dumb, man. It's always, hey, remember what we talked about? People don't punch up, or people don't punch down, they punch up.
Yeah, you don't make. It's frowned upon to make fun of mentally handicapped people, or so you. There is like there even amongst trolls, there's an etiquette that you're technically making fun of people that you look up to some level, or you maybe not look up to, but you understand that they're at a higher level than you are at something, and then you maybe kind of try to pretend that you don't want to achieve that. And I shouldn't, because I have several troll accounts. I troll my own. I used to troll my own posts on the forums years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're
There
talking.
used to be. Do you guys remember the story on that? A guy, Chris Clark, I think was his name,
Was
and it
it Pump
actually
and
was
Pose?
called Synthol. Yeah, Pump and
Yeah.
Pose. Yeah, and a Synthol. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Boston Lloyd made a couple versions of it. I remember he had a couple versions where it'd be like silica and something, but it wasn't like people confuse the synthol and the stuff they do in like South American countries.
yeah,
The synthol that guys would use back in the day got absorbed. It got absorbed just like the carrier oil with your test, right? So people saying, "Oh, that's synthol." It honestly could just be a lot of tests in one location, and it's like developed sort of like an inflammation or a cyst or something.
yeah, and that's really probably the best way, because you think what happens, you take a shot, what happens? It swells up and then it slowly
Mm-hmm.
fades off and swell. Well, but when it's dying down here, if you take another shot, then that swelling keeps piling up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be permanent,
Yeah.
but it's going to be long, like over a contest prep, there'll be a noticeable difference, and that's, I think, what, like, the site injecting, I think, is where the value in that is. How am I going to word this? There, where you can add, like adding a half an inch or a quarter inch to your arms through localized swelling is going to look like muscle. Adding
Mm-hmm.
14 inches to your arms is going to look stupid.
Dude, I did and I'll be honest, like I see Nick in the comments, that's yeah, Boston Lloyd had a couple formulas. Dude, I did tests. I did was it one or like a half cc a test in my bicep one time? Just because like, oh, everyone I did it. Dude, my arm swelled up so bad that I was like, I couldn't move my arms. Like, I'm never doing this again in my life. Like, this is the most painful fucking thing. I was like, I'm never doing that again. It was like half a cc of
Yeah,
oil.
it's a
But
lot. That's what I always think. That's a lot of work to suffer through that.
dude,
But it's
yeah.
the other risk is that, like, anytime a needle enters the area, there's scar tissue.
Yep.
There's a small needle, so it's small amount of scar tissue, but you do thousands and thousands of injections in it. And you'll see this a lot. If you look at some retired pro bodybuilders, they'll have like flat side delts. And I
Mm-hmm.
even have it to some extent from, like from your career, like, you rotate your sights or whatever, glute, shoulder, whatever you do. And then you do that for 15 years when that localized swelling is kind of always there. Well, when you leave and
Mm-hmm.
you're just left with the scar tissue, it'll look a little flatter.
Yeah. That's um Casey asked a question about prep. It looks like Brandon's prep is going well. My prep is going well. A little bit lower carbs right now. We're pushing it, but
You're getting
you know,
you're getting down there.
yeah, body responds well. And Justin and we've worked together long enough now that
I stopped having heart attacks, but yeah.
yeah, we know it's like, and we're in a really good spot right now. So really looking forward to that quick qualifier in a couple of weeks and then hitting the Arnold. And let's just say this, we are very confident. So we'll just put it like that. So we're in a good spot, and
Yeah, I really hope. I mean, it would be, for the documentary, it'd be a great ending.
yeah.
But I mean, John's been so close. He won the super heavies of the Arnold 2 years ago. He's like
Mhm.
an infinitely many times better bodybuilder. He was very close in Toronto. I mean, it could have went
Mhm.
either way. It really could have. It was, and he lost to someone it was kind of his time in Canada.
Mhm.
And so I think, like, we have the double effect of John is ready, absolutely. And this is an interesting thing, because if John would have turned pro at the Arnold 2 years ago, for his long-term career, it would have been one of the worst things, because
Yeah.
it would have been until this year that he was actually ready to compete as a pro. So he
Mhm.
kind of would have fallen off the map. One of the
Mhm.
best, and if you look over the years, was it Lavroni lost the juniors and then won USA's, and then, or like Nick Walker took third and everyone thought he should have won. You
Mhm.
almost want to get robbed once, and that gets your name out there as like, this guy got robbed. Then
Mhm.
then you have a whole nother year to make improvements. Then you go into a show as a favorite, already knowing that you have the look that's on the level to turn pro, but now you're not only ready, but you're expected and you're ready to compete as a pro. That's
Mhm.
really the best thing. So many people, they just want that card. And one of the worst things that can happen is you could turn, like, there's like a range where it's like, I could possibly turn pro to I'm ready to compete in a pro show. If you turn pro here and this is 3 years away, you have 3 years of obscurity where everyone forgets you exist. If
Mhm.
you almost turn pro here and don't turn pro till here, you've had a couple years where everyone's like, dude, this dude's ready. And then you get the hype, you're expected, and then you're actually ready to compete on a pro stage.
Yeah. And with the amount of cards that pop up nowadays, the sport has become, it moves so fast, right? Like 1 year, this guy's like the talk of the town. And then 6 months later, by the next season, no one even talks about the guy. And so it's like the sport moves so fast. You really just, when the door opens, you got to be ready, right? But like Justin's saying, if you turn pro and like, yeah, we turn pro, this and that, we're awesome, we're our hometown hero. And then it's like you go to pro stage and get 15th. And it's like, okay,
be careful what you wish for. You know, like a Ken Brown or Caprice Murray, or I mean, I can't think of that many off the top of my head, but there's countless names of guys burst on the scene, were good enough to turn pro at that show, maybe because it was a slightly down in quality for whatever reason, and they just barely crossed into that cusp, but they're 2 years away from being ready to compete as a pro. That's the worst thing that can happen. But like the best thing is like really like what a Nick Walker did, where it was like got robbed, and it was like he got robbed. He comes back the next year as the favorite, another year to make improvements, dominates the show, and then can step right on a pro stage, you know? And that's really what you want. That's almost ideal. It's the worst thing in the moment to get robbed, but in many cases, it's the best thing for a career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, so we're looking forward to, you know, seeing everybody at the Arnold and having a good time. And, you know, we're going to have our booth there as well. So, you know, we'll get the competition out of the way. And
yeah, speaking of 3 a.m., oh man, working with our booth people, like, working with, because we have a big 10x30 booth and we're doing all this custom design, and I'm a graphic designer for good, bad, or ugly. I shouldn't be, but I'm doing I don't know anything about graphic design. You know, they need vector files, and like I have Adobe Illustrator, but I don't use it, and so everything takes me forever. And so I spent so much time making these graphics, and every time I turn them in to their graphic designer, they use all these words that I don't even know what they mean. Finally, I was like, look. I was like, I am not. I said, the only reason I said I'm a graphic designer because I don't know why, to be honest, but because I'm an asshole who doesn't like anyone else's work. But really, I'm a graphic designer because I liked art when I was a kid. I have no idea. And then finally they were like, oh, okay, here's, you know, but yeah, we finally got the graphics for the booth kind of dialed in. They're helping me with it because, like, you know, like they're talking about all these words, and it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, a photographer gives me a photo and I do some edits to it, and I hope I don't, you know, like I'm like, these files are huge, and because the files need to be absolutely enormous because they're getting put on. They're 30-foot large photos, you know, and they want to be high def all the, you know, and like, and the other thing, like our logo design, I don't have a vector file for that. Like, it was just something I made up like 10 years ago, you know, like I don't even know what app I used, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, we've been working behind the scenes, and like I said, we're really excited to see everyone who's, you know, ever watched us in this chat, everyone who's in here right now. You know, if you guys do come to the Arnold, make sure you come stop by the booth. We will be there all weekend. We ain't got nothing else to do. So we're going up there, knocking the competition out early, and then we will be hanging out all weekend. And make sure you guys come by and say what's up and shoot the shit for a little bit, as they say. And yeah, it'll be fun, man. Anything else you want to chime in?
No, I want to. It's like the Arnold. I'm trying not to put too much stress on us, but it's a big weekend for us. You know, we got a big booth. Spent a lot of money on the booth. We got the Generation Iron stuff. John's turning pro. Brandon's going to kick ass in the Open. It has the potential for be a huge weekend, and I want it to be a fun weekend. So any of you guys come and hang out. And like, I remember like going to the expos and, you know, like kind of wanting to talk to people. Just go up and pretend like you know us. Like, I just want it to be a fun booth. That's we're doing an open space. Like if it's so packed that like we can't move, that'd be my dream booth, you know, like with just people hanging out. I want everyone, if you guys are there, come to the Troponin supplement booth and just pretend like you're part of us. You know, like, I want it to be a fun weekend. And because if all goes as planned, it's going to be a really good weekend for us.
And at the end of the day, and I'll say this, because especially when you're coming up in a sport, or, you know, you're a kid and you look up to the guys in the magazines and stuff, and, you know, the worst thing to ever have happen is you meet your idol and the guy's a dick, right? And so our whole goal was always to be transparent and let you guys say like, hey man, we're just lifters too, right? We've got families, we've got jobs, we've got things we're doing. I put gas in my car just like you do, right?
I mean,
So come hang out. We're all together
right
this
into
together.
it.
You put electric in your car, but
I put
but
physics into it.
yeah, so we're all in this together, guys. All of us compete. None of us are better than, okay, so what? You win a bodybuilding show or you got second or whatever. Doesn't make you any better than the next person. It's just a fun sport we do. So at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all trying to live in this life the best we can. So make sure you come hang out. Come chat
hang
about
out with
whatever.
Seth Rogen and his small mouth.
Yeah, call him Seth Rogen. We'll talk about aliens or drones and shit, and it'll be a fun time for sure. So on that, we're wrapping it up. It's been another hour here on a Friday. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully, we'll see you at the Arnold. Make sure you check us out on Amazon now and on our normal website. We're constantly updating it and bringing you guys new clothing, tank top shirts, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys as well. So make sure
we're running a sale on Suppressor Max right now, 10% off. ATP's price been reduced. We're working on getting ATP price even lower, trying to refine the manufacturing. So we got some deals going on right now. QRF will be back in stock. We might be running a field rations discount. So lots of stuff going on at the websites.
So guys, make sure you check it out. Hit us up, TroponinSupplements.com, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out.